Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Suwannee County Board of County Commissioner meeting for November 21st, 2023. At this time, I'd like to get Commissioner Perkins to do the invocation and Commissioner Mobley to do the pledge. If you're able, please stand.
Let's pray. God, our Father, we come before you, dear God, in this season of Thanksgiving. We thank you, Father, for how you truly blessed us down through the year. And God, we thank you, oh God, for allowing us to be in this place at this time, brought us safely. And God, we ask that you look on every heart that's here, dear God, and bless in a mighty way. Look on this board, dear God. Give us the understanding, give us the wisdom and knowledge to be able to fulfill the duties of county commissioner in this county. And God, look on all of our departments and department heads. Ask God to look on those that's on foreign land, dear God, those who make it safe for us. God, that you bless them in a mighty way. Look on their families. And God, those who have lost, bereaved, or that are in bereavement, look on those, dear God. Give strength to them. And we ask in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, made a change to the agenda. From now on going forward, or as long as I'm chairman, we will have public concerns and comments before the consent agenda. You will be allowed 3 minutes to speak, and it will be a strict 3 minutes, and it will be for everybody. And so just have your thoughts together when you come up. And that's how we're going to roll with it from here forward. We're going to start off with item number 1, hold election of chairman for 2024. Do I have any nominations? But before we get started, I do not seek to be chairman again, so.
Well, I was going to nominate you.
I was going to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Mr. Chairman.
And it's not that I don't enjoy the job, and I appreciate it. I appreciate the confidence of all of you. I just think it needs to be spread around. I think you get a little too comfortable sometimes doing what you're doing, and I think somebody else ought to have a shot at it. So I'm going to just bow out and move down to the end again. So do I have any nominations?
Mr. Chairman?
Sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Perkins.
I do nominate Commissioner Hale. He's the oldest ranking commissioner here on the dais, so I nominate Mr. Hale, Commissioner Hale.
And I appreciate that, but
Yeah, you can't talk.
I have a better thought. How about, because obviously you guys know this takes a lot of time, a lot of responsibility. You need to be close by a lot of times. And I appreciate that, I really do. But I'm thinking of what's going to be best suited for taking care of business and things of that nature on a quick daily basis. What if we reverse these? These were the two, right? Wouldn't Travis win you the vice? What if we just reverse these two? Something like that.
That was good.
How do you feel about that, sir?
Okay.
Does that bother you, or?
No problem.
So I have a motion from Commissioner Lane.
Sounded like it.
Yeah. Is that good with y'all?
Is everybody good with that
Yeah.
nomination?
Y'all didn't ask me what I
Second.
feel by the hour.
Well, you don't,
It don't work that way.
hey, you're going to get about as much say as I got in the first one, so.
Oh, man.
All in favor of electing Commissioner Land as your chairman going forward? Aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Congratulations, Mr. Land.
I don't know if I should punch you or give you a handshake.
You'll probably shake my hand now and punch me later.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having confidence.
I'm sure you'll do just a fine job.
I'm usually in and around Live Oak most every day, all day. So availability, I understand Commissioner Hale's concern. He's in and around everywhere, all over. So
Yeah, not far
I
off,
understand.
but I mean,
Not far off, but
I'm
yeah.
within 30 minutes pretty
Right.
much every hour of the day. But I mean, if it's something that one of these guys are pushing,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Right.
It happens, but vice chair on the table, whatever y'all want to do, whoever you want to nominate.
I'll nominate Frank.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Commissioner White will move to vice chair. And I got to say, you know, it's been a great thing. I've learned a lot, but I can see where if you didn't own your own business or you couldn't make your own schedule, it'd be almost impossible to do this job and do it the way it needs to be done. It does take a lot of time.
Or work right across the railroad
Yeah.
tracks.
Moving on to public concerns and comments. Anyone wishing to speak? Mr. Hancock.
Mr. Chairman, we have
Sorry.
5 specific items.
Oh, yeah. Can we hold up just a minute, Mr. Hancock?
Sure.
I need to do the time specific. We'll
Okay.
come back to it. Item number 10, at 5:35 or soon thereafter, as the matter can be heard, hold a public hearing to consider the adoption of an ordinance regarding LDR 23-05, an application by Suwannee County to amend the official zoning atlas of Suwannee County by changing the zoning designation for a described property from agricultural 1A1 to industrial catalyst ICS. Mr. Meeks.
You swear affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, but nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Mr. Chairman, board members, the application that you have before you is to amend the official zoning atlas of Suwannee County on the, what was formerly known as the McCook property. We have previously amended the land use map of the county, and that's in effect. We had, the storm kind of got in our way, or we would have had the zoning taken care of as well. But, so we had to re-advertise for all that, take it back before the zoning board. Zoning board did send to the commission. Their advisory decision was to approve the request. So you have a resolution in your packet written for approval. So if you so choose to adopt that, then you would also adopt that ordinance amending the official zoning atlas for that 82.58 acres from agricultural 1 to industrial catalyst site. If you have any questions of me, I'll be happy to answer them. If not, I'll enter the file into the record at this time.
Any questions of Mr. Meeks?
Files admitted as one.
File has been submitted. I'll now open the floor to public comment. Anyone wishing to speak? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Is there any further board discussion?
No, sir.
Seeing none, do we have a motion to adopt an ordinance?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Perkins,
Second.
second by Commissioner Land. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. I will now close the public hearing. Item number 11, at 5:35 or soon thereafter, as the matter can be heard, hold a public hearing to consider the adoption of an ordinance regarding LDR 23-06 and adoption by B&L Enterprises to amend the official zoning atlas of Suwannee County by changing the zoning designation for a described property from commercial neighborhood CN to agricultural 1A1. Mr. Meeks.
Mr. Chairman, board members, this piece of property is a 5-acre parcel located at the intersection of County Road 137 and State Road 247. When the original land development regulations and official zoning atlas of the county was adopted, this was a parcel of land, I believe, that was secured in ownership by Mr. Scaff. And the intent at that time was that this would be a location of one of the S&S convenience stores that were, you know, through Suwannee County, through Columbia County, and some of the other areas. The site was never developed, and upon Mr. Scaff's passing, it's changed hands. The current owners do not intend to develop the property commercially, but do have a use for the property to be used for residential purposes with the placement of homes. So it's a 5-acre parcel, meets the A1 district requirements, so they would revert the zoning back to agricultural 1 from what it currently is, a commercial neighborhood. So the Planning and Zoning Board did send an advisory decision to the Commission recommending approval. You have the proposed ordinance in your packet for approval that you would adopt if you so choose to adopt that approval. So if you have any questions of me, I'll answer them. If not, then this would also be entered into the file for the record.
Any questions of Mr. Meeks?
No, sir.
Mr. Attorney?
No, sir.
I mean, are you going to accept the,
Records admitted as one.
thank you. Anyone, I'll now open the floor to public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I will close public comment. Any further board discussion, or do I have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hale.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Land. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Now close public hearing on that item. Item number 12, at 5:35 or soon thereafter, as the matter can be heard, hold a public hearing to consider the adoption of a resolution regarding special permit for temporary use requests SPTU-23-10-01 by American Promotional Events, DBA TNT Fireworks, to be granted a special permit for temporary use under Section 14.10 of the Suwannee County Land Development Regulations for a fireworks tent sale to be held starting December 26, 2023 through January 5th, 2024 on property zone commercial intensive. Mr. Meeks.
Mr. Chairman, board members, I believe this is the 14th application that's been made of the county by American Promotional Events that does business as TNT Fireworks, which would be their 7th year. They do hold an event twice a year in July and the first of the year for January. So this would be for the New Year's event to set up temporary fireworks tent sale. We issue our permit locally. It also gets a permit through the fire marshal's office and does an inspection through the fire marshal's office before they open their sale. So you have a resolution in your packet for approval. If you have any questions of me, then I'll answer them. If not, then I'll enter the file in as evidence.
Any questions of Mr. Meeks?
Admitted as one.
I'll now open the floor to public comment. Is anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I will close public comment. Is any further board discussion, or do I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Land.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Perkins. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. I will now close the public hearing. Thank you, Mr.
gentlemen.
Meeks.
Yep.
Moving back to public concerns and comments, Mr. Hancock. Name and address for the record, please, sir.
Bo Hancock, 6135 Wiggins Road. Real quickly, I don't like moving the public comments and concerns to the beginning of the agenda. I'm sure there'll be further discussion on that in the future. The proposed contract with Mr. Scott was not in the agenda packet that was emailed. I'd like to see us get the same thing that y'all get. If it's in your packet, it ought to go out to everybody. Just a concern. And why is the discussion on the contract from Mr. Scott on the consent agenda? The consent agenda, when they first started using a consent agenda, was for the routine things, paying the invoices, things that were awarding a bid, the things, you know, it just needed your approval and generally don't get discussed. But then there's a lot of things that are now popping up in the consent agenda that should fall under general business. And that takes care of that. Oh, also in Mr. Scott's contract and all the rest of the contracts, employment contracts that y'all have, there's a provision in there regarding pay raises. And it refers to whatever the rest of the employees get, the high salaried people get it. I think it needs to stay with the hourly employees, get a pay raise, and stop it. It shouldn't go, salary shouldn't get it. Look at the salaries they're getting. I mean, it amounts to $1,000. If you stay with the 50 cents an hour, it's $1,040 a year increase. I don't think that's really going to make or break the higher salaried employees. Something I would like for y'all to think about. And this also brings up the point with moving the public comments to the beginning. Y'all are acting just like the Live Oak City Council and Columbia County Commission. You're sitting up there like a bunch of bumps on a log, not saying a word. No discussion, no comments, you're just sitting there. Why in the heck should we come up?
Thank you, Mr. Bowe. Anyone else?
Moses Klepper, 145-8100 Second Path, Live Oak. Shame on y'all, all right, first off. Shame on y'all, double shame on y'all. It ain't gonna work, guys. Public's still gonna get out. Y'all can do whatever you want to do. I'm with Mr. Hancock. Y'all are trying, you know, y'all have listened in the past. Y'all listened to the public. Y'all don't want to listen to the public now. Y'all want to shut down the public because the public puts out their points. And it gets all back to us, you know, all y'all's comments. So shame on y'all, man. But I'll read this. Y'all do with it what you want, as always. Why are there no ads for the Public Works Director? It appears by taking the temporary off the new contract, and I don't know what the new contract, because we don't even get to look at the new contract. But why hasn't there been advertising for the Public Works Director? There needs to be salary ranges for all positions in the county. I agree with Mr. Hancock that 1% should go to all employees for longevity or cost of living. The 50 cents should go to hourly only. The annual contract for the administrator ought to be renewed annually. In the current contract, it's already set up for 3 years out, up to January or in December 24 is already laid out what he's supposed to do. I don't know why y'all are trying to fast track that and get rid of it. I guess it's become a habit for y'all. The contract states that no severance before December 19th, 2023. So y'all scared he's going to quit? He wouldn't get a severance package. Between 13 and 24 weeks, he gets 10 weeks severance. After 24 weeks, he gets 20 weeks. If y'all wash that off, again, shame on y'all. Let's see. I don't understand why Mr. Morrison made recommendations to accept Mr. Scott's suggestions for his new contract. I don't think that's appropriate that the county attorney takes sides. This ain't about trust, guys. It's about responsibility and accountability. And I recently acquired from the administrator's office that Mr. Scott, and in 1 month, he earned, or he charged overtime as an exempt employee. He got $12,000 in overtime, and Mr. Norris got $7,000 in overtime. I don't know how the economic development director qualifies for emergency operations. That's beyond me. I don't know why other people might not be more qualified to fit that thing. As far as the upcoming salary, the neighboring counties with similar population, 96,000 for administrator, 108 for administrator, 102 average.
Mr. Klepper, your 3 minutes is up.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Shame on y'all.
Anyone else?
I don't see anybody.
Does anyone on the board wish to address any of this at this time? Well, I got something to address. I don't have a problem with the overtime. I was around there at DOC when all this started, the Sunday before the storm came. And I'm gonna tell you, I was terrified that this county wasn't prepared to handle what was coming at us. Luckily, Mr. Scott, and I'm not saying that bad about anybody, I'm just saying we've never had anything like that, and nobody had any idea of how bad it was going to be. So sitting through the EOC meetings, and as a storm came in and Mr. Scott called everybody in that he thought he needed to run that EOC, I'm gonna tell you, I was real proud of what everybody done, and I don't have a problem paying their overtime. And I just want to rebut Mr. Klepper's comments on that. There's some people that had to show up to work 12, 13, 14 hours a day, while their families were at home with no generator and came up here to take care of all the rest of us. So you can agree to disagree with me if you'd like, but that's where I stand on that issue. That's all I got to say. Moving on to the consent agenda, I have item number 5 pulled for discussion. We'll be looking at items 4 and 6 through 9. Do I have any discussion or a motion to approve?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Land,
Second.
second by Commissioner Perkins or Marble? Is that Perkins? Mr. Perkins? Commissioner Perkins, second. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 5, approval and authorization to execute employment agreement with county administrator. Mr. Perkins, I believe you pulled this one for discussion.
Yes, sir. Let me hear some understanding here on the severance. And I think we said it was at 10, and now we're moving to 20. And I just like to have some understanding of how this severance work or is working. Is it an event that we fire him, or if he quit, would he receive that severance pay? So I just some clarity.
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Mr. Morrison, please.
Okay. So if you all note, there was the, of the proposed current drafts of the agreement, I emailed to everybody. So when the agenda went out, I put in the summary, the substantive changes that were made, and then I said, you know, either adopt or approve it, or let me know of any changes y'all want to make. Several of you got back to me regarding proposed changes that should be incorporated. So the current draft of the agreement, and I circulated an email amongst everybody today, which incorporated changes, adds that it adds a paragraph which says that the agreement will expire December 1st, 2024, and automatically renew for an additional year on the same terms and conditions. So it'll be a 1-year annual rotating agreement. However, it reserves that any county commissioner can reject the automatic renewal and put it on the agenda for discussion. So it adds that. It also adds that in the event Mr. Scott is let go by non-renewal of his contract on that yearly basis, he would get 10 weeks of severance pay instead of the 20. But just wanted to update everybody as to the substantive differences between the one that's in front of you versus the one that was distributed earlier. To answer your question directly, Commissioner Perkins, so the way it works, and there were some excellent questions from the audience earlier asking about how severance would work. Severance would only apply in the very specific situations where it does apply. And where I was coming from in dealing with Mr. Scott and the chairman acting as on behalf of the county, kind of the go-between trying to put all this together, was to have this be a more permanent agreement, because the previous draft of the agreement read very much in terms of it's temporary. You know, when are we going to? So this is to make it be more. Mr. Scott's the county administrator, and this is the administrator agreement. Hence, making it just 20 weeks, because that's what the administrator would get rather than the step. So to answer the question as to when would severance apply. So severance would apply in the event that the board chooses to terminate Mr. Scott without cause. An excellent question was brought up in the audience of what does cause mean, and the answer to that is I don't know, it depends. So if he gets caught stealing, that's probably for cause. If it's something else, maybe it is or isn't. It's not defined. It wasn't defined in the previous draft of the contract. So that would be something to be dealt with at a later date as to whether or not the firing would be with or without cause. At the time of the termination, the board would have to state whether or not the termination was with cause or without. If it's without cause, the 20-week severance kicks in. And then the 10-week severance would kick in the event of, since it would come up so often for renewal, in talking with Mr. Scott and talking with a couple of the county commissioners, because it could be used as a way of sidestepping the termination clause of the termination protections contained within the agreement for Mr. Scott. That's what the severance package is there for. By simply choosing to not renew the contract, the compromise was, if we're going to look at this every year, then put in a 10-week severance package. So that's how the two applicable, that's where the severance package comes in. There's certain permutations of that. So for example, if he leaves and is going to go at a certain time and he quits earlier, he would get less severance. So those type of permutations are also contemplated here. But the easy way of thinking about severance here would simply be if he's fired without cause, he would get 20-week severance. If y'all choose to not renew the contract at the end of the year, so every December 1st, if it's just, we tell him at this meeting, hey, next week we're simply not renewing your contract, you would get 10-week severance in that situation. Sorry for the long-winded explanation.
Okay.
But not a combination. It wouldn't be.
No, it's one.
20 weeks one way, 10 weeks the other way.
Correct. And that was a good question brought up by the audience, too. It's very specific provisions of the contract. In situation X, this applies. Y, this applies. It's not a backdoor way of trying to get 30.
My concern was because I know with previous administration, like we paid along severance, and I know, Mr. Scott, you work hard, and I don't have a problem with that, but I'm just looking down the road. If someone else put in here, then paying that severance. So you're saying the severance only kicks in if the board elects to fire him without a cause,
Correct.
and then it kicks in.
Correct. So if it's with cause, so I mean, again, where it's easy is use the obvious examples. Where it becomes harder is the gray areas. So in the easy examples, let's say Mr. Scott's arrested for putting his fingers in the cookie jar and taking county funds. No allegation, just to make, that's real easy, right? That's cause. I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. Right. If it's where you get into the gray area is because people disagree with how he's handled certain situations. That's where cause becomes real fuzzy, right? So that would be a decision to be made by the board to make that determination at that time. And then certainly that's something that would be an issue. But that cause language existed in the previous version of the contract. Again, members of the audience who were, actually, I really appreciated it. This situation of cause or without cause existed under the previous version of the contract as well. So we're just keeping the status quo on that.
So you're saying that the board has we have the final say of determining whether it's with cause or without cause, or defining cause, whether it is a cause or not a cause.
Correct. And worst case scenario, again, I'm a litigator, is if Mr. Scott disagreed, he would always have the option of litigation if he wanted to fight about that severance package. But it would be the board's statement of, we are terminating you. I mean, I'm going to ask the board to find in that situation with cause or without, and there would have to be a vote of the board.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Good.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Lynn.
a couple questions or observations, I guess. My concern is, and I understand what Mr. Perkins was saying, and I agree with that, but I'm thinking about going forward too. Like, my only concern is with this is we're going to go through this every 12 months. We're going to look at and we're going to renew this contract every 12 months. I mean, we got a guy that has been employed by the county for 30 plus years, received a leadership award from a state institution given by his peers, and every 12 months we got to go through this. And then, well, it is automatic, but I heard your comment, but it could be terminated on the anniversary date every 12 months. And at that point in time, if the commission in December 1 of 2024 decides, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Morrison, but if they say, hey, we're not going to renew this year, then we owe the county administrator 10 weeks worth of severance.
Correct.
Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Personally, I don't know how we're going to continue to get qualified folks, hiring them a year at a time. I don't know why we feel the need to go through and review a contract every 12 months with a guy that's been employed with us for 30-plus years. And if we decide not to renew it, we're going to write him a check for 10 weeks' worth of pay. I would feel more comfortable. I mean, I think it's been publicly stated Mr. Scott is at the end of his career, where, albeit whatever job he's going to be doing, he's at the end of his employment years. I mean, what's wrong with a 3-year contract and no severance pay at the end of three years, so you don't have to write a check if you don't renew it? I mean, that says two things. One, you got faith in the guy you've been paying for 30-plus years. I don't know the exact number, Mr. Scott, so excuse me. 35 years. You've been paying him for 35 years, and he hadn't messed up yet. What makes you think he's going to mess up in the next 12 months? So we got to go back through this, and then we got to write a check for. I mean, to me, it just seems like. I mean, you're going to catch it either way. You're going to say, well, that's bad business. Well, I think it's bad business to assume that we're not going to renew it in 12 months and write him a check for 10 weeks worth of pay. I suspect Mr. Scott's going to continue to do a great job, and we're going to continue to, then the people are going to continue to be pleased with his performance, and we could extend this for 3 years, and then in exchange for that, 0 severance.
On the third year.
At the third, yeah.
year,
I mean, I'm saying.
Second year, if there happens to be an issue, like you said.
I'm saying all of the with calls, without calls, all of that. That's fine. I mean, because by all means, if we get an administrator that starts to stray, yeah. I mean, you need to be able to cut the cord, so to speak. But to come in here and hash this out every 12 months, like, why? We haven't done it for 35 years. Why are we going to start today? And
Who says we got to hash it out?
well, it's got an automatic renewal clause, but in 12 months, there could be 3 of us might not be sitting up here next year.
That's correct.
So, in defense for Mr. Scott, if we want our administrator to be a part of our team and live in this county, why would he buy a house if he didn't already? What encourages him to grow roots when he's got 12 months to do it and he could move
To
on?
my way of thinking, it doesn't have anything to do with Mr. Scott. I agree. I don't think we're going to have an issue. I don't see that as being a problem. Going forward, when you don't have somebody you don't know, I think the 1-year automatic renewal is the better method for that. And like I'm saying, it don't have nothing to do with Mr. Scott. I like you, Mr. Scott. I don't have a problem with what you're doing. I just think a year-to-year contract in that position leaves this board more flexibility.
I would agree with that. I guess my comments were more concerned with the work history of Mr. Scott, and this is a contract technically between, his name's at the top, between us and Mr. Scott.
Which is why I negotiated the 10 weeks severance if we didn't renew his contract, because I have full faith that we're probably just going to renew his contract.
Okay. Fair enough.
My deal is not with him, it's moving forward down the road when Mr. Scott's not here. And another board can change that. I mean, I'm just, if you will, I negotiated that, and y'all are all willing, you can speak your mind here. That's just what I did, and that's just my thoughts on it. And if you wanna do something different, I'm all ears.
No, I mean, I would agree with you, Mr. Chairman. I think that certainly going forward, this is probably better protection for the taxpayers versus a long-term contract. Just those severance packages, I understand where you're coming from now because I've had a chance to hear your side of the story. But those severance packages could hurt, but I see why you negotiated that in there now. So
And it's for his protection.
fair enough.
And boards, I think.
Yes, but I think
I can
it's,
see both the arguments.
I thought it was a pretty good compromise.
Conversation.
I thought it was just a pretty good compromise to get where we needed to be and protect him at the same time in case we didn't renew his contract, that he wouldn't just be hung out to dry. I didn't want it to be unfair on that side of things as well. So that was my thinking.
Fair enough.
Mr. Chairman, can I point out one thing too, just I know that the board understands this, but just so the public understands, none of this affects the ability of the board to fire him at any time. He remains an at-will employee.
Yes, sir.
So for clarity now, that 10 weeks, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
so for clarity, that 10 weeks severance with the 1 year negotiable contract every year, so that's going to be without cause or?
Here's how it's going to work, Commissioner Perkins, or the way I understand it to work and the way I've read it, is if we fire him without cause before the year-end.
No, we're not saying Mr. Scott, we're just saying the administrator.
Yes,
Okay,
administrator.
all right.
If we fire him before the year's end without cause, we're going to have to pay him for 20 weeks. If we fire him before the year's end with cause, he gets nothing. But we as a board will have to vote on that as to whether it was with cause or without cause.
Okay.
The only deal is for the year-to-year contract is if we just drop the hammer on him at year end and say, we're not going to renew your contract, we're just kind of leaving him out in the cold. So my way of thinking was it was fair to put the 10 weeks in there to cover him in case we done that.
Okay. Thank you for clarity.
Were we good?
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Mr. Scott, nobody asked you.
I was going to say, I'd love to hear from you.
We'd like to hear from you.
I'm okay with that. You know, I care too much about this county and these employees to banter back and forth, so.
Well, and I do too, and you can see by my comments earlier that's pretty dear to my heart. And like I told Commissioner Land a while ago, I don't foresee that happening. And it's not really anything to do with you. It's just an avenue for this board to have a little more flexibility, if you will.
I would encourage you moving forward, if you want to, whenever we part ways, however that happens, moving forward, a year-to-year contract, if I was a younger guy, I wouldn't even think about it.
Not as attractive, I guess.
No.
Yeah.
You know, the things that you do that most people don't even realize, you know, paycheck's great, but there's a lot of other stuff.
Oh, I realize that.
Right. But I would encourage you in the future to have a longer-term contract, 3-5 years. You always can get rid of somebody, but you know, you want them to invest in the community and not just somebody passing through.
Understood. But I just want to tell you, you're doing a great job.
I appreciate that.
It's not an issue.
Yes, you are.
With that being said, is there any further discussion, or I have a motion to approve Mr. Scott's contract? With the changes addressed by Attorney Morrison.
Yeah, and that would be the current draft that's sitting in front of you.
Yes. Motion by,
Second.
who made the motion? Motion by Commissioner Mobley, second by Commissioner Perkins. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, you need to go back to number 3.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I kind of got carried away. Approval of minutes, item number 3. I skipped over it. I apologize. November 3rd, 2023 special meeting, November 7th, 2023 regular board meeting, November 9th, 2023 special meeting, and November 16th, 2023 special meeting. But on item B, I had to recuse myself from a vote last week, and I need to make a part of the minutes that I need to fill out and sign Form 8B. So I'm making that a part of the minutes. And Commissioner Mobley, you had something you had to amend the minutes on?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I need to make a record regarding the minutes for the regular meeting held on November the 7th. On page 369, item 10, regarding the amended task order with North Florida Professional Services on the Markham Main Water Extension. I should have recused myself. Mr. Markham is a family member of mine. I intended to recuse myself, and in fact, when we did the Dennis music doing the work, I initially recused myself of that.
You did.
And I made a mistake with, voting the other day, and it passed 5-0. So my vote was not really a deciding factor, but I want to make note of that. So
if you could do that, that'd be great.
Ms. Logan, you get that?
She got it.
Okay. With that being said, do I have, I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Chairman,
Commissioner
on-
Land?
Yes, sir. Just a typo, Logan. On November 16th meeting, on page 15, the last sentence, Commissioner Hale's name is spelled improperly.
Seen that.
I was looking out for you,
I've
buddy.
seen that.
Wow, man, you must really scrutinize
I
that
didn't
pretty
think it was
good.
that big a deal, but I did see that.
H-A-L-H-A-E-L. You got too quick with your fingers. Or Eric did. Eric did. Oh, she quickly said Eric. Eric did that. Yeah, Eric did that.
Any further additions, deletions?
I'll make a motion with the two changes you two gentlemen have brought to our attention.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hale with changes, second by Commissioner Land. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to constitutional officer items. Any constitutional officers have any comments at this time? Any staff items? Wow. Any commissioner items?
I don't have any items. I just briefly, Mr. Chairman, just bring up, when we had our emergency call meeting the other day, we were talking about possible, I just want Greg to give an update as to the past for public knowledge as far as, I think there was a date that we wanted to have the debris out by the road. They were Yes. asking on things of that nature.
Emergency Management put together a press release today. So the first pass will end November 30th. That's the first pass of going around picking up debris. And so it's time to get ready for the second pass. So I encourage everybody to get everything out to the right of way. They're asking for November 30th if possible. But the second pass will be, or the final pass will begin on December 1st. And it'll run until everything gets picked up. So the sooner we get it out to the roads, we'll get it picked up, get those big trucks out of here, and we can get back to more normal.
That's all I have.
Anyone else?
Yes.
No other commissioner items?
Let me add one other thing to that. I'm sorry. There is a phone number for DOT if anybody's got any concerns. That number is 386-758-3724.
What's that for? Sorry.
If you have any concerns with the pickup, any of the debris.
This is the complaint line?
Right.
Is that for citizens? I guess it's for
Yes.
citizens too. Huh?
Right, concerns, comments, or attaboys. That's a new concept.
That's 386-758-3724 for the complaint line to DOT for debris removal. Correct, Mr. Scott?
Right.
How many people they got answering the phone?
Yeah. Might be on hold a while. Moving on to county attorney items, Mr. Morrison.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just one thing briefly. As you may be aware, college football season is about to come to an end, and I just went back in time to make sure I pulled the minutes from our last meeting back in August.
Sure he did.
And I'm sure that, Mr. Chairman, you wouldn't welch on a bet, but I wanted to be real clear as to what the stakes are between the game between Florida and Florida State this weekend. And first I want to point out that, yes, Jordan Travis got hurt, so did Graham Mertz. Both got hurt making a play for a first down, so both went down as Warriors, but this is going to be the quarter backup bowl, so it'll be interesting for both of us. So to be clear, what the stakes are is that the loser has to wear a tie to be provided by either you on the off chance Florida wins. But if Florida State wins, I've got this beautiful thing here to provide to you to wear, Mr. Chairman. You can go ahead and take it now if you want to save us some time.
That's all right. I'll wait till the appropriate time when I give you the gator tie.
Fair enough. It has to wear that tie for the two meetings to be held in December. And if it's a real butt whooping to be defined as a win by more than 30 points, it's going to be a bow tie. I got one of those too.
Apparently, they think it's going to be 30 or better.
Mr. Chairman,
Sir?
I have, for the attorney clarity on this, was it Franklin or was it the chairman?
No.
I'm a Florida State guy. so
This
I'm
one's
good.
with Franklin. Travis will wear this gladly.
I'm not going to welch on the bet. If I lose, I'm going to play along.
But the most important thing, and Eric should be glad he's not here because he got these minutes wrong. I pulled them today. Is that during the commissioner time or county attorney time, on the off chance that it applies, that the loser of the bet has to declare the superiority and dominance of the opposing team for the remaining calendar year. So I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page. We all understand the stakes. I also want to say, on the off chance Florida does pull a miracle in the swamp, my phone will be off.
I have your address.
Okay.
Nothing further from the
You
county
can
attorney.
run, but you can't hide. Moving on to general business. Item number 13, discuss with possible board action the priority road list for submission to the Florida Department of Transportation. Mr. Scott.
We passed out for you a map and some narrative chart behind that. What we try to do is let you get an idea of what the proposal is by staff. Staff has ridden the roads and tried to come up with the ones that are the worst. We had some roads that we were on list before. We have a meeting on Monday with DOT representatives, and we'll be working with them to look for alternative routes, alternative processes to get funding for other roads. For example, 184th, it is very difficult to get DOT money for the dirt to pave. But we're going to get creative and try to find a way to do that. And we haven't forgot about that project. We want to keep that, working. But anyway, so the ones on your list, you see the ones that have been submitted by us in the past has not been programmed. That's the ones in orange. The ones that are programmed by DOT, that's the second phase. That's the ones in yellow, or the one in yellow. And also the ones adopted by DOT are in blue. So those are the ones that are coming forward in the future. The ones in purple are the ones that are underway now. That's 80th, 139th, and 76th Street, and also the ones down in Branford, Wideman, Carter, and Express. So the recommendation is to add County Road 137 to the list. 250, let me back up. 250, which is on there before, from the Suwannee River Bridge to 193rd, 137 from US 90 to 216th, 136 West, 16 miles from 250. It begins at 250 and ends at the roundabout in Live Oak. Number 4 is a 14-mile project for Stagecoach, which is County Road 132, begins at 129 and ends at US 90. And then the 5th one would be County Road 795. That begins at Railroad, the Railroad in Live Oak, and ends at 132. So that's the recommendation of staff. Again, that's staff riding the roads, reviewing all the roads, and any roads that we put in the past, we're still going to be pushing for those also through another funding sources other than this. Thing to keep in mind, DOT shared with us the other day that this debris pickup is tapping into the resources for road paving, and I say road paving in their main budget, which includes road paving. So the thing we've got to strategize is make sure that whenever they get reimbursed from FEMA, we're at the trough. So, But that's the staff recommendation. Be glad to answer any questions, or that's really y'all's call on what direction y'all want to go. Ms. Brenda's here also. She's our project manager for the projects we've got. She's sat in on the meeting too and added input and provided these documents for us. So any questions you have for me or Ms. Brenda, be glad to answer those for you.
So to be clear, we're working 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Whatever y'all would wish to do.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Hale.
obviously, all these roads are very important, and they need to be done. I think all of us have rode up and down each one of them. And compliments to the staff for identifying those without really us having to jump up and down about it, so I appreciate that. But I agree with you. Some of these roads, I mean, you get down to like number 3 there, and even 4 and 5. If that's a 5-year project,
Right.
it could be 20 years out getting some of these things done. I don't know if they'll hold up that long. So
I know they won't.
I think, I agree with this. I think it's a great start, but I think as a board and as our staff, we just need to let our voices be heard in Tallahassee and work on that scrapping Scotland.
Right.
Get some things going.
We have to start a long-range plan, even 5 years out. We've got to do better than that. So,
Yeah.
So what are you asking from us, Mr. Scott?
just accepting the recommendation or something changed so we can put it in the DOT process. I'll get the wrong term if I tell you what they call that website to plug in the numbers or plug in the projects. But usually you plug in the projects and they pick out what grant package just best suits that different road. And
Well, under this submitted but not programmed, can we go ahead and add some more roads to that?
that's the, well, we could, but Brenda's an ex-DOT employee, so Brenda, you want to come up and elaborate?
So basically what you are looking, excuse me.
First timer, I think.
You know, right?
Welcome, Ms. Brenda.
Thank you very much. Good to be here. What you're looking at in that first box, projects previously submitted but not programmed. Talking to DOT, there are some definite reasons why they have not chosen 2 of those, and we noted those. Not to submit those, County Road 136 and 184th. We felt like that County Road 250 still needed to be in that request because that allows you to go ahead and finish out what's been started on 250. So we feel like they've seen that before. They know there's other project that's being done there. Hopefully they'll be willing to go ahead and take that and put it into their program. The others, that's strictly up to you, but Mr. Scott alluded to the process. What you have is they'll look at everything that we submit. Basically, we're going to be allowed to submit 3. So you have to pick out 3 of the 5 that we have identified or something else other than what we've identified. And so they'll look at those, they'll decide which ones that they want to program, and then it'll eventually go to an adoption, being part of the work program, and then actually be programmed and funded. So that's the process that you're going through. And yes, it is 5 years out before you're looking at that actually coming to fruition. But that's the project or the process that we have to work within right now. As Mr. Scott mentioned, we are talking to some folks from DOT on Monday about alternative funding, and we hope that we'll have some success there. They've been very encouraging.
Thank you.
Good, thanks, Ms. Brenda.
Is there any?
Ms. Brenda, I got a concern with County Road 349 is in pretty bad shape, and it's a very long road.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out when to submit that, how to submit it. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, the ones that were chosen, let me tell you how that happened. So we looked at maintenance and maintenance cost. We looked at how narrow or wide the lanes are so that we have an idea about safety issues, if there's a lot of rutting, if there's slippage. So we tried to look at everything involved. But bottom line is, it's
all about the money.
definitely, it's about the money, and it's also about what your priorities are as the board.
Well, and that's where I'm getting back to, that County Road 349, just like Commissioner Landon Hale spoke a while ago. If it's 7 or 8 more years before that road gets resurfaced, there's already grass growing up in places in that road. And it's very narrow lanes. And there's a lot of traffic on that road. And so I don't know that we can wait that long. So
Can I ask that all of those type facilities that you're aware of, that you would either tell Mr. Scott or send me an email so that whenever we meet with them on Monday, that we can talk to them about potential other routes for funding those improvements? That would be very helpful for me, and I'm sure Mr. Scott.
And I don't want to knock anything off.
Right.
I'm just trying to figure out how to add to.
I think that's the only way I know to do that at this time, is to look for other funding sources, and they have committed to help us do so.
Great.
Yeah, 349's terrible, but so are some of these others, and
Well, like I said, I don't want to upset the apple cart here, but I want to figure out how to start working on getting that road resurfaced, because it's going to be in bad shape before it ever gets done.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Land.
I mean, I think that, there's several things working against us here. I mean, you got inflation, you got the cost to do these projects, you got, the fact that Suwannee County has grown significantly, so your traffic counts have increased, so your roads are deteriorating faster than they have in the past. And then funding from Tallahassee. It's just, these are big numbers. You look at some of these on this sheet here. 252 or 49 from 252 to US 90. That's 700,000 for engineering.
Yeah.
For engineering. That's not moving any dirt. That's just engineering. So for the engineers in the room, you guys are living large.
They came in lower than that figure, by the way. Just throw a bone.
But with that being said, I think, like you said, Tallahassee, and not that we don't do a good job, but we all go over there and we beg and plead with those guys, but they've got to find more funding there. And I appreciate you guys having those conversations, but I'm dealing with this for years, and it's always there's not enough money, but we see what goes, I'll pick on them, Orlando, Jacksonville, Gainesville for that matter. If we could just get a small percentage of that, we could get a lot accomplished. So,
I don't know when the last time County Road 349 was resurfaced, but
Not in my lifetime.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it done. So it's just hard. You dig a hole like this, and we're growing, and these numbers aren't coming down anymore, and everyone else is growing in Florida. Florida's growing. It's just
but our pot's not growing.
kind of behind the 8 ball.
Well, I bring it up, and we even rode the senator down some of the roughest roads we had when we had him here and tried to beat him up, so he'd understand what we were talking about. And every time I meet one of them, that's the first thing I say to them is, Scrap and Scott, we got to have some more money. Our roads are deteriorating faster than we can get them paved. And, that's why I push economic development so hard too, is if we can generate our own, I know we won't ever be able to afford to pave everything we got, but we can sure start making a dent in it. But back to my county, 184th Street, that's just never going to happen, is it?
Not with their current trends at DOT, no. Not taking a dirt road to paved.
So,
Not,
But I go
not
right
through
across the
Scranton.
line in Columbia County, and they got one, they putting dirt to pavement on, so I kind of question that.
That's
Funded
one
by
of,
DOT?
I don't know.
that's one of the projects that we'll be talking with them about on Monday, to see if there's some alternative funding.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, Ms. Brenda?
thank you,
Just
Mr.
one more
What you
thing to
did.
mention to you. Mr. Scott's already told you before probably, but we are trying to put together a priority list at long range so that eventually maybe we can catch up with this a little bit.
Thank you, Ms. Brenda.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Scott just need a consensus on this? Is that really all we need?
Go ahead and vote if you would.
Okay.
Just
To
make sure,
adopt the,
staff recommendation.
this one,
Right.
need a motion
So moved.
to submit roads submitted to FDOT according to what was in the agenda packet.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Land, second by Commissioner Hale. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
And we've been told this before, Mr. Chairman, but those numerical orders, you know, DOT's told us time and time again, that means something to us, but they're going to run their own metrics, and our number 4 may become their number 1.
Absolutely.
I've had it
Based on the
happen.
metrics that they run, so. the
Well,
order in which
184
we-
is a prime example. It was our number 1, but they didn't see it that way, so.
Right, I just throw that out there for the new guys, that the numbers beside the roads doesn't really matter to DOT. They're going to do their own research and metrics and studies and pick their own number 1, 2, 3 for us.
Correct.
Anything else, Mr. Scott?
Well, actually, we do need to renew the LSE, the Local State of Mercy. We did not have that on agenda, so we need to do that. And then the next meeting for that would be next Monday, the 27th at 8:30 at the airport.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the LSE for another 7 days?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hale, second by Commissioner Perkins. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Anything else, Mr. Scott?
Just my comments whenever it's time.
Okay. Is there any additional agenda items? Seeing none, you're up, Mr. Scott, administrator comment.
All right. The 80th and Terrace and 139th Road project is getting close to getting started. That's been in the works for a long time, but the contractor is getting prepped to start working on a few tweaks on the some engineering, but we're about ready to go with that. We did a pre-application for design for the runway rehab for the airport. That's will be about a $4 million project that that'd be FAA and also DOT funded, fully funded. The 80th Street Bridge update. The timeline on that is 82% complete on the time. Have a current completion date expected to be December 31st.
Wow.
So it's moving along, and hopefully I know that there's people that have a meat market down the road that sure like to get that thing open pretty quick. So
Well, there's a nursery guy that'll be glad when it's done too.
Good.
I got to go around it as well.
good. But they're moving forward with that, but hopefully they can get it done, maybe be a good New Year's present for us.
Absolutely.
We got the sign off on Weidman and Carter from DOT. That project is complete and in the books. We're going out to bid now for the water extension of the Catalyst site. So that's in the works now. Bids are due later this month, as I recall. Just a reminder, next meeting on the 5th is Picture Day. So what a classic.
Loser has to wear it in the picture.
Oh, man.
That wasn't in the bet, man.
No. If it's during the meeting, it's being worn. That was in the bet.
I think I should get the change before I have to take official pictures.
Are you doubting already?
Oh, I'm not doubting. Never mind. I'm fine with it.
You said you weren't going to welch on the
Y'all
bed.
can suck it up, Buttercup, if you lose. That's all I can tell you. You ain't kidding. I got lots of ammo.
So we'll give you the time that you need to be here for that, so it'll be here before the meeting, so.
I'm glad you got to take this, Travis, or Commissioner Land. It's gonna be on you now.
Just reminder also, next week, Frida, that's the 29th through the 1st. I'd like to appreciate the nod of encouragement on the contract extension so we can keep on doing some good stuff. Chairman, appreciate your efforts as being chairman. You've done an outstanding job, provide a lot of leadership and guidance for the board, but also us and the staff. Really appreciate what you've done. It's a lot of time, a lot of thankless hours. Thank your wife when you get home for us, because they're the ones that suffer too whenever we're out doing our work. So, that's all I've got, unless you've got any questions for me.
No, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Commissioner Perkins, closing comments?
Yes, sir. You think I went to the FACT conference. It was a nice conference. Commissioner Marvin and myself sat over 2 of those committees with the urban development, and also with there's a lot of things that they are proposing to take to Tallahassee, and hopefully that they'll be able to get some money in for the agriculture and also for urban development. It was a good conference. I enjoyed being there, and just tell everybody happy Thanksgiving. Everybody be safe, enjoy the family, and enjoy the turkey.
That's how y'all got that presidential thing on your badge. I see how y'all do. This is how y'all get that special recognition. I see it now. Commissioner Mobley.
I'll continue to keep Lamar Jenkins' family in your prayers, and Sydney Lord. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Commissioner Lamb.
Couple things. Obviously, the same thing as Mr. Mobley said, keep the Lord family. Mr. Sidney Lord passed away, and Mr. Lamar Jenkins, keep their families in your thoughts and prayers. Both of those are beacons in our county, and definitely beacons in the agricultural community for a very long time. Very good folks. Yesterday, a week ago, I was going to share a little bit of information with y'all. Some of you may know, may not, but I went to Tallahassee on behalf of Suwannee County and testified in front of the House Hurricane Resiliency and Recovery Committee. One thing that I think that might help us with this debris, there was a lot of talk on the panel from all of the counties that were there that were impacted by Idalia, is the debris removal on public access but private roads. And what I mean by that is, for instance, I'll use Dowland Park as an example. Riverwood subdivision is a non-gated private community, private roads, but public access, school bus. I can drive through there. There's 137 site-built homes in there. There's no debris removal for them. It's on them, and you know, that's just one example. We have a lot of those roads that are private, but the public uses them. So all of the counties were pretty much asking our representatives up there to hopefully approve, in addition to those contracts, some assistance on removing debris. I mean, they're talking in Riverwood, the quotes they've got, it's hundreds of thousands to remove their debris. And albeit, I mean, they pay taxes just like us. So currently that's not on the slate for that to happen, but it wasn't just us complaining about it. Every county impacted that was up there was asking for help. So I'm not telling the public today that that's going to happen. I'm just telling you that there's a lot of chatter in Tallahassee from the rural fiscally constrained counties asking for it to happen.
Mr. Chairman, if I might add to that, we had a meeting with DOT, the debris team, last week, I guess. My weeks run together. But that's the current opinion of DOT is they're not going to do that, but they will pivot if they get instructions to do something different. So if if, I'll better leave it at that, but if folks are concerned and express those concerns,
Yes, sir. That's a Tallahassee decision. That's not a Suwannee County or Taylor or Lafayette decision. That decision will be made in Tallahassee. So hopefully you can read between the lines there and ask for assistance. And just thank the chairman. 2 years of service. I got big shoes to fill. I don't know if I can fill them or not. I mean, a fearless leader, honest, not afraid to jump out in front of the train. Sometimes I don't know if that's smart or kamikaze.
It's just hard-headed.
That's what Ronald said. Your brother. But anyway, just thank you for your service. I know it's commitment. It's time away from your loved ones and the extra duties that come with that. So I appreciate your 2 years of service on that.
Thank you.
And I'll end with Go Knowles.
Commissioner Hale.
Obviously, all the families, everyone's already mentioned. Thank you to our employees. I've been working really hard with a bunch of you folks over the last couple of weeks in a lot of different areas, and everyone's just been great to work with. No one's told me no, and a few have said, call Mr. Scott. So, but I appreciate everyone and what they've done. But the other family that I wanted to mention was Jenny and Jerry Clark, the Clark family. Their son was in a horrible freak accident at their home, and I'm not sure what the status there is, but just keep them in your prayers. And again, thank you. Appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you stepping up. Appreciate Mr. Perkins mentioning my name. And I do want it one day. I would love to do this. I really would. But it's just fitting because Travis is truly right across the bridge there, or the tracks there. But only thing I'd say is we've talked about the storm cleanup, and I appreciate you guys going over there, and maybe if they're listening to you and some of the other counties, I know that's a big part of it, and there's a lot of our community that can't afford that. They can't afford to get that out there, and it's sad that it's being offered out, for us that live on these other roads, and hopefully something good will come out of that. And I appreciate you going over and doing that. I really do speak it up for the people of our community. And I guess I'm going to end on the same note. Go Knowles.
I'm sorry, Mr. Norris, you wanted to say something a minute ago, and I just skipped right over you, so
Really?
if you'd like to, it's all you.
Mr. Scott kind of addressed it, but just I know Mandy's got you guys all prepared, as she always does, a wonderful job, but the Freedom Summit next week, please try to be there early if you can, on time for the first activity will be the rural activities with the working group that we do for rural communities in general. And we're going to have, all the changes at the Department of Commerce that have come about. We're going to try to define and explain all of that. So those guys are going to be there to talk to us. So it's going to be a great couple of days down there. I appreciate you guys attending, but just try to be sure you get there so we can ask a lot of questions. I've been told if we show up with the whole group like we're supposed to be, that we should have a reserve table right up front, since right now we're the only county with all commissioners and our administrator attending. So appreciate that. And special shout out to you, sir. From the beginning, I wasn't sure how this economic development thing was going to work out when you got going, but you set some high standards. Commissioner Land's got some shoes to fill. All these guys participate, and I appreciate every one of you, what you do, supporting this office. But some of the vision, when we're looking at property, when we're looking at companies, and I'm not exaggerating to say you probably are in my office at least twice a week for the last 2 years. Or sometimes more. Sometimes you've been there every single day in a week, plus numerous conferences, development conferences, FPL, Duke, FEDC, Frida, all of those things you've been a part of. So thank you for your commitment. And that has not gone unnoticed, as you know, by the people that are talking to us now. So this community owes you greatly. Thank you.
Thank you. You're going to make me cry.
There you go. Thank you.
I appreciate that, I really do. It's been a wonderful time, I've enjoyed it. I'm sure Commissioner Land will far exceed me in that area. I do appreciate everybody. I appreciate all the employees. You know, I've never called one and asked them to do something and it never happened. I mean, it's always Johnny on the spot and never a problem. Mr. Scott, I do appreciate you. You've been a true blessing to this county. This contract, like I said, has nothing to do with you. Thank you all for the kind words. I appreciate it. I really do. And with that, I just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Land, second by Commissioner Perkins. All in favor, aye? Aye. Thank y'all.